All right, good morning, guys. We're going to have some fun today looking at our lesson two, and it's again identifying particular things in angles. So, our target is I can use right angles to determine whether angles are equal to, greater than, or less than right angles. And then the names that go with it, as you've seen in the previous video that I had you preview, are right angles, obtuse angles, and acute angles. All right, let's get started. Use the right angle template in number one that you made in class, so at home, to determine if each of the following angles is greater than, less than, or equal to a right angle. Label each as greater than, less than, or equal to. Then connect each angle to the correct label of acute, right, or obtuse, as you can see in the center of the page here. The first one is already done for you. So you're using a compass, and that means that the plastic compass that Ms. Hamilton and I provide you that you can either have picked up at CSI or you have one at home. And that compass is a ruler as well. What is a ruler or this tool or device is just to measure things. So in the video previously shown, you have some ideas on how do you use a compass to determine and find out if an angle is less than, equal to, or greater than 90 degrees. Okay? So because I can't really show you on the video here, we need to be able to use that compass on the paper, or if you're looking at the screen, you could place your compass on a computer screen, but that's a little challenging. So I think using our eyes, we also can tell quickly whether something is considered a 90-degree angle. That's a determiner. That's the thing that tells us whether it is less than or greater, right? So what is a 90-degree angle? Well, that's when you have two line segments that create a vertex, and the angle between the two line segments measures 90 degrees. So I'm going to call it out right now and right away without wasting too much time. Which one do you see on this page would be a 90-degree angle? Well, if I use my protractor, I could tell that the specific angle that represents 90 exactly is right here. There's one here. So I can see right here on C, that looks to be 90 degrees exactly. Okay? So that angle is 90 degrees. There are some other ones that could be close here on this page, and in no particular order. You might say I looks very close to 90, but again, you'll have to use your compass to determine that. F could be another one that looks like it's 90 degrees. So that's a challenge, is you really need to use this tool to determine whether it is or it isn't. Okay, so let's identify the ones that are less than, and we know less than means that less than 90 degrees is an acute, right? So acute. Okay, and then 90 equal to 90 degrees is a right angle. And then lastly, obtuse is greater than 90 degrees, which is we call obtuse angle. Okay, so we have those three types. Right away you see A says less than, so they draw an arrow from there, that point to that point. Okay, so we'll just use a different color for that. So less than for A, we know it goes to acute. B is definitely less than as well, so B can go to acute. Okay, C we know is 90, so that means C goes to a right angle. D, well, if we were to put our compass there, we can measure from this point on this ray over here. And then if we were measuring it, we know that at this point, up until this point where I have the dotted line, that's 90 degrees. But then it goes past that. So therefore, it's greater than 90 degrees. So we know that's called an obtuse. Okay? E, clearly, it's greater than 90. If I were to use my ruler and my compass, I realize that it's going to be greater, so that's going to be obtuse. G, again, I'm sorry, F, that one is very close. So you tell me from using your compass whether or not, your protractor, whether or not it is, the angle is equal to 90 or greater. With my eye, I will tell you that it looks to be a right angle, okay? And then G, again, G is obtuse. H, obtuse. And I, very close, looks like it could be slightly less than 90 degrees. So if your eye doesn't play trick on you, it could be very well acute, okay? And then lastly, J is less than, because we know 90 would be here, right? So that's going to be less than, and that's, again. All right, so now we are going to actually construct each of the following using a straight edge on the right angle template that you created. So using your protractor, you want to place that protractor on each of these sections of your page on your problem set worksheet, and then explain the characteristics of each by comparing the angle to a right angle. And then we want to use our math words. These are our math academic language or vocabulary that we're learning, and state whether it is greater than, less than, or equal to. And that always depends on our reference angle, and that's called the right angle. Okay, so we're going to take our protractor, we could place it on the page, and you're going to see me go ahead and start from my 0 point, and I'm going to go ahead and draw some protractor lines so that you can see more or less what we're talking about here. So it's asking for us to explain what an acute angle is and using our reference angle of the right angle. So if you use your protractor here, you're going to see that we can identify that particular center point or reference point right there in the middle. And if you can see, I'm going to fill that and shade it in, okay? So that's going to be our anchor point. And now what we want to do is we want to figure out, well, where is the 90-degree reference point? So we know if we started here at 0 degrees, okay, on the left, and we're going to measure and go clockwise. I'm going to label that CW for clockwise. And we're going to go all the way to 90. So remember that mark I showed you earlier in the video about where we start at our reference, 0 degrees, and then we follow it up all the way up to this point, and that would be our 90-degree, whoops, sorry about that, our 90-degree reference. Okay. Okay, so this is our 90-degree reference point right there. So we can label that as 90 degrees right here. So this angle is basically right here between these 2 points. If we said we measured it, that would be 90 degrees, right? That measures 90 degrees. Because we know an acute angle is less than 90 degrees, some people might use a way to memorize that is it's a acute angle. And what is acute angle? It's very small. So that's what you might remember is something that's cute is maybe small. In this case, we're just a play on words. So an acute angle could be anything between 0 degrees and less than 90. So any place along this radial line right here is basically up to the point less than 90 degrees. So I can say, I'll just choose a point. Let's just say right here. Okay, and we'll draw a line using our straight edge, so you can use the bottom of your protractor to do that. Okay, and so therefore we'll label this angle and we'll call that, let's say that's A, and that's B, and that's C. And we would explain that as angle ABC. Angle ABC is an acute angle. Okay? And you notice I could draw that line through it, so that's referencing it as an angle. Okay? So that's clear. Now let's move on to B. B says, let's go ahead and draw a 90 degree. So 90 degree angle, again, we want our anchor point. So there's our anchor point right down there in the center, that little hole in your protractor. You can use that as the place and point of the vertex. And then we go ahead and identify on our protractor, where's 90 degrees? 90 degrees is right here. All right, so we know again, we take our protractor and we figure out, okay, so essentially it's right here. I'm going to draw this little square because that actually, in mathematics, indicates that that is always going to be a perpendicular between those two lines, and I will call that 90 degrees. So what is the definition of 90? Well, it's a right angle. So if that was angle ABC, in this case, angle ABC is a right angle. Okay. And then lastly, I'm sure you can guess this one. We're going to say we're looking to explain what an obtuse angle is. So the definition of obtuse must be greater than 90 degrees. So that's 90 degrees. Anything that would be beyond this point would be considered 90. So I'm going to change the color. Let's try orange. And so anything that's starting at 91 or 90 point, anything beyond 90, 90.01 maybe even, would be considered greater than 90 and beyond. So again, in this case, we could say that that is, let's try one right here. So let's label it. Angle ABC, this angle right here, angle ABC is greater than 90, and it is an obtuse angle. Okay, so there you have it. Okay, so this final page in your work sheet for problem set is considered it says the templates for angles, and what I've done here is I just use my protractor to check what all these different angles might be. So I really want you to practice using your protractor to see if you can get accurately to challenge me whether or not I got them correct. They may be an estimate, so if you look here, let's look at A, for example. A, if we place our protractor down and we look at starting at our reference point, and then we are measuring clockwise, so in this direction, I challenge you to determine whether or not from 0 degrees to 90 degrees, is that true? Okay. Let's take another one. Maybe this one right here. Let's look at F. There's our reference point for our vertex. And say, because it's convenient the way it's labeled on the page or drawn, maybe I want to start here for 0 degrees and go counterclockwise measuring. So going this way, is that going to be 80 degrees? Question mark. You're going to have to challenge me. And then let's look at another one. Well, this one on J, again, depending on how you want, if you want to turn your paper sideways and then start here as your, again, your reference vertex point, and then say this is 0 degrees, and then measure from here to here, counterclockwise, is that 75 degrees? Okay, and again, you should label them. Once you find out the degrees, then you can call them out. For example, with A, we know this is a right, I'm going to abbreviate, right angle. With F, we know it's less than 90, so it's an acute angle. And then with J, we know it's greater than 90 degrees, so it's an obtuse angle. All right? So again, measuring with your protractor, you have to decide, depending on how you turn the page or the paper in the direction or whatever's convenient to you, to know which way to measure, clockwise or counterclockwise, what the actual angle or degree is. Okay, so check your work here. I'm trusting that you'll practice it, because the more you practice, the better you get at it and the more familiar you are with use of protractor. Great job, everybody. We'll see you in the next lesson.